Hello there and welcome to On the Other Hoof. We apologise for the slight delay. We had our landlord come round a bit earlier on and took a bit of time, but we are here nonetheless. We have a good day of racing tomorrow to cover at Newbury, with them holding obviously the Hennessy meeting, and Newcastle staging the Fighting Fifth, their Grade 1 for the year, which attracted Irving, who of course disappointed in the Supreme Novices last season, but looks to get his career back on track. Tomorrow at Newcastle, we're joined by Adam Webb when it looked doubtful a while ago, Adam.
Yeah, it did. I mean, the internet went off and it was a complete nightmare. But luckily, it came back on right at the moment where it was do or don't. But luckily, it came back on.
Yes, unfortunately for everyone else.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Last week we were tagged as a bromance, so the bromance lives on, Callum.
It does.
How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, good. Yeah.
Long time no see.
Yeah. You know, that's to say, it's a bit awkward. Yeah.
Nap winners last week, boys.
No.
Who had a nap winner last week?
I didn't. You did. Callum, he was the only person. Just slap him.
I had Amberjan, you had Belanos. Adam
napped on tour.
Adam had Mujik Borje.
Yeah, that didn't go very well.
You know, guys, I'm more than happy to hold up the team, but I can't keep doing this week in, week out. It's draining on myself.
You're going for that record again. You're trying to go for that record. You're not going to get there.
Hey, never say never. Believers 2K14. The 150 at Newbury is the first race that we're going to be covering tomorrow. The Bet365 handicap hurdle over 2 miles and 3 furlongs. It's a competitive little race, Adam. Exitas is the fast improving one of the lot. Came a bit unstuck last time out, but in much better company.
Yeah, I thought he ran okay in the Greatwood actually. Behind Garda, Victoire and Bannister. My idea of the winner is the favourite Hammersley Lake, who I thought ran a really good race behind Roman Flight at Cheltenham on his comeback run. He was going well last season at Ascot when he fell behind on Raven Storm. I don't think the ground will be an issue. I think the second trip will help him, and on the basis of that first run, I think there is plenty more to come, and I think he's attractively handicapped tomorrow.
Fair enough. Short and sweet from Adam, which is a rarity. And many people complain about that. I'm really quite stumped about the first tomorrow. I think Exitas obviously has to go close. Connor Schumacher's back on board. I think he was banned the last time out in the Greatwood or something like that. Phil Middleton was saying on Channel 4. 5 to 1 is not a bad price. Obviously, it's a much easier race for him over a bit further as well. But he could just be the classier horse in the race. Of 137 is obviously he's got £3 taken off, but I don't think it's improving. Has finished at that mark. Looking at others, Germany Calling was one that I'm sure Callum will mention with his head in his hands in a second. First Avenue will really like the ground. Obviously, he ran a decent enough race behind Faugheen last week. Adas got 14 to 1 on this ground. He can't be discounted too lightly. He'd been in great form before that. Triumphant as well as another one who will probably appreciate this kind of trip. The ground, I've got it down as a little bit of a worry if I'm perfectly honest, but again, 12 to 1 could be an each way price, but for win purposes, I'd definitely side with Exitas. And are you going to lose more money on Germany Calling? Or?
Yeah, for a job, I probably will. It's a step up in trip tomorrow, which was always going to suit this horse, so I might give him one more go. I'm not really sure about the ground. Potentially, I think he might be a better horse on better ground, and it looks a fairly competitive race. I think he can give quite a lot of chance. And Hammersley Lake certainly deserves to be favourite from strong connections and only beaten ahead by Roman Flight last time. It's a horse that I rate quite highly. He's went on and won since, and I think he really caught the eye in the Greatwood for me as well on ground that he didn't like. Home run should make a bold sight from the front. Exitas, bit of a tough ask this, I think, now off £11 higher mark than when he won at Sandown. Obviously, he ran, I think, off £6 well in the Greatwood. Charlie Deutsch took off 5 that day. Connor Schumacher takes off 3, so you've got a little bit more weight as well, considering that I think they're both pretty good value for their claims. But,
yeah.
Elsewhere, Albert Bridge, decent flat horse, probably not as good on the flat as he was previously, so I wouldn't be sure what he's got back over hurdles, but he does love soft ground. Bordoni should go okay on the ground, and I think he'll enjoy the trip. So Bordoni, I think, has got a good chance. Cheap pieces are offered, I just thought it was a bit strange. But Germany Calling, I think 14s might just be worth a couple of quid if you really want to bet in it. think he will win last.
It's a tough race though. It's a tough one to get us started off with. Hopefully one that's a little bit more straightforward is the StanJames.com Fighting Fifth Hurdle. Grade 1 over 2 miles, obviously one of the key champion hurdle trials of the year. Probably not in turnout though, because it's a bit of a disappointing field, I think you'll agree, Adam, with Irving heading the market. Obviously by no means a slouch, but then behind him the likes of Arctic Fire, Sea Lord, Swelldale Lad, Volcanic Jack and Aurora Destraban. It's not the strongest Fighting Fifth that we'll see.
Well, the problem there is, and I feel really sorry for Newcastle, is the fact that Haydock have come in and sponsored this Class 2 race, I must add. It's not even a graded contest. And as Callum rightly pointed out, the prize money was actually worth more last week. So you had the new one, Zambi Man Melodic Rendezvous. 2 of those are confirmed horses that have got graded form. Zambi Man, I think, will be a good improver. Irving, you've got to take on trust that he's recovered from that fall, and at odds on, I wouldn't really want to be touching him tomorrow. He could easily go and win this nicely, but he's just not one that I'd be willing to side with. Arctic Fire prefers a bigger field and needs cover as well to be at his very best, so I wouldn't be so keen on him. I know I said last week I feel that Aurora Destraban wants to step up in trip, but I think that the way that this race could be run, I think she could easily go from the front and she could easily poach an advantage and not even be caught. I think she's a really good filly, and I think she has got the potential to improve when she goes up in trip as well. I think 2.5 miles will work out to be her trip this season and next season, and if she goes from the front and steals a few lengths at the start, maybe, because as we've seen a lot lately, they have dawdled in a lot of races, but I don't think they will in this. I think she could poach an advantage and be for the catching. I really quite like her tomorrow.
Yeah, sorry, I spit that one out. As you guys might remember, we had Nick Schofield on the show to talk about Irving before the Supreme Novices. I had a quick chat with him earlier on and asked him for a line on Irving, like I mentioned on the show tonight. And his first word was that he hopes that he can silence the doubters tomorrow, which is fair enough. I haven't seen that many doubters around about Irving.
I've seen a couple. I
have. I agree. We've had it.
Yeah.
I saw somebody complaining that Irving was odds on and that he's a dog. That's one of the comments I saw.
Well, I mean, that's harsh.
That's very
really
harsh.
I mean, horse wasn't right in the Supreme, and last time I probably would have won. I can say conclusively that he would have won, but
I think he would have. I'm in the same camp as you. But then I also asked him how his jumping at home's been after the fall. Obviously, had quite a nasty fall at the last in the elite hurdle. He said he must have jumped 40 plus hurdles since that day, and his jumping's been absolutely fine since. So you're taking that again on trust, but if his homework's anything to go by, that shouldn't be too much of a worry. People made out one of the excuses last year for Cheltenham was that the undulating course beat him, which, okay, there's been excuses coming out since that he wasn't a well horse at Cheltenham, and that is what accounted for his poor show. But you can't have any complaints about that because Newcastle, is one of the flatter tracks you'll see, especially compared to Cheltenham. Wincanton, again, a very undulating track where he fell last time, and he seemed to handle that okay, but soft ground isn't much of a worry for me. I really quite like Irving tomorrow. He's drifting a lot. I think
it's a positive. I mean, looking at his form, he's got soft ground form in Germany, and both his runs, arguably his most impressive performances in those pair of Grade 2s was on soft ground.
I said it isn't a worry.
Yeah, but I'm saying it's a positive, not just a...
You could do it that way, yeah. I mean, we know he definitely handles it. He hasn't really been tried, except for on his debut, on real good ground. So it'll be interesting to see him on that. But for tomorrow, the ground can hold no problems for him. But like I say, he's drifting. He's out to 6-5 now with Skybet, I can see. I took an offer of 6-4 from Paddy Power earlier on. It could actually be 6-4 on the off because Arctic Fire is coming in for a bit of support. So I may be left red-faced with that one. But I do think he wins tomorrow, and you're very much in the same camp, aren't you?
Yeah, I think he wins. He's got the most potential out of these, and soft ground on a flatter track over 2 miles in this sort of race where I can't see there being too much pace, and I just think he's going to have too many gears for them. I just think it's a perfect race for him, and
it has to be viewed as a positive that Nick Schofield's back on as well. Obviously, not saying that Sam's not capable, but Nick knows.
Well, Nick knows the horse well, doesn't he? And like you just said, and it's certainly it's no offense at all to Santos and Davis, but it's good to have Nick Schofield back on him. And horses like Arctic Fire is a lot more exposed type. Deserves his chance in this sort of race. I mean, it's a crap great race for the level for a Grade 1. Aurora Destreval I'd definitely prefer over Arctic Fire. I mean, she really impressed last time out. She probably didn't beat too much, but she's well worth a chance in the Grade 1, and I think she'll give her the most to do. But I would be disappointed if he couldn't win tomorrow.
I think John Quinn's found a very good Grade 1 for her to try her hand at, really, because it's one of the weaker ones that you'll find, if not the weakest that you'll find around this time.
Yeah, I mean, I was saying the other day that in 5 weeks from last week, you have 4 2-mile hurdles, top-notch 2-mile hurdles. In Britain, you have the Betfair hurdle, whatever it is, this one, Fighting Fair, the International at Cheltenham, and the Christmas hurdle.
I think was it the Price Rush hurdle?
Yeah,
whatever.
And that's not even accounting another. It's seen as a champion hurdle trial in the Ascot hurdle.
You've got the Ascot hurdle.
The Greatwood as well.
Not far away either.
Yeah.
The Greatwood as well, even though it's a hand.
I mean, the Greatwood. You can put the Greatwood in there. The Morgiana in Ireland as well. Hatton's Grace this weekend. There's too many races at the same point, and it just makes for uncompetitive racing. And I don't like this part of the season in the jumps calendar. I just think it's so uncompetitive that all the horses are just avoiding each other. And year after year, it's ended up that the only 2 competitive races of the year are the Betfair Chase and the King George, and then you get to Cheltenham. This thing is mad.
However, if that means we get to back Irving at 6 to 5, I'm not complaining about that too much. Before we go back down to Newbury, I just have to say that I completely forgot to start the show. You can get in touch with us here at On the Other Hoof by tweeting us any questions and fancies that you may have for tomorrow. We already have a few in the usual suspects, but it'd be nice to get everyone's opinion at home. We'll read out every single tweet at the end of the show. You can just tweet us at On the Other Hoof, and we'll try and read out every single tweet at the end of the show. As mentioned, the next port of call is the 225 at Newbury, the Bet365 long distance hurdle. It's a Grade 2 over 3 miles and 110 yards, which sees the return of more of that, taking on Cole Harden. Obviously, Cole Harden beat another of J.B. McManus's horses last time out at Wetherby when beating at Fisher's Cross. But more of that, Adam. It's a very different kettle of fish here.
I'd say, yeah. I mean, his World Hurdle win was just amazing. For a horse to improve as much as he did, and I know I've banged on about it, whenever he's been mentioned on these videos, I saw him win a handicap off 130 at Wetherby, and if someone had said to me, that's going to go and win the World Hurdle this year, I'd have probably laughed at you. But the improvement he showed last season was just incredible. I'm going to give a slight note of caution about the horse. I'd like to see him in the paddock first, because I've noticed when I've seen pictures of him when he's been for his race course gallop at Chepstow, and he looked rather big, to be fair. I think he has definitely grown up, and he's definitely beefed up over the summer, but it's just, he looked a bit fat. And I'd like to see him in the paddock beforehand, because if he looks as though he's going to need the run or need it badly, Cole Harden could easily be a betting proposition to beat him. I'm not saying he will, because I think Moravat is a very good horse. I do think Cole Harden will chase him home if Moravat is ready enough tomorrow. But Cole Harden, I even said to somebody the other day that he was meant to give Fisher's Cross £8 if he turned up, and I said that he'd give Fisher's Cross £8 in a beating here. So I think Cole Harden, I think he'll be an underestimated horse as the season goes on, and I could easily see him in the World Hurdle running into a place. But tomorrow, if Moravat is ready, and hopefully Newbury has good enough Wi-Fi, and I will take a good look and I will tweet my views on whether he looks ready, or I think he will look ready. I think he should be the one to beat, but if not, then I think Cole Harden will give him plenty to think about.
Yeah, at Fisher's Cross made his reappearance in this last year, didn't he? And he got beat.
Yeah. Oh, don't
circumstances behind Celestial Halo. You are one of the biggest fans of more of that out there. Tongue-tie first time tomorrow is an interesting.
Yeah, I didn't. That's an interesting one. I think this horse is just brilliant.
I love him. I really love him.
To win a World Hurdle on your 5th start,
yeah,
and a well up to scratch World Hurdle, I think you have to be some horse. And I think it helps when you notice a horse before it ends up doing what it does at a top level. You do appreciate it, and when it won at Haydock, it just highlighted itself as a top class horse, just the way it quickened off such a slow gallop. And I really hope he wins tomorrow and comfortably. If he's going to get beat any time today, you know, if he said he's going to get beat at one point this season, it would be tomorrow, because first time up, John Joe's, quite a few of these have needed, or his top horses have gone for a run. They're more chasers, but I wouldn't be surprised, actually, if more of that even got beat tomorrow. I can see him running below form on soft ground over 3, and Cole Harden will more than pick up the pieces if he does so. Again, it's very much a watching race. It's more of a thing that I want more of that to win, but the forecast looks nailed on, let's just say. If you want to tip, if you really want to tip, back the forecast, because
or reverse it.
Tom's not involved in that.
Q Medinas returning to form. We've got a tweet from our good friends at Get Your Tips Out. More of that head and chest fit or not. At Fisher's Cross isn't in the same league, which couldn't argue too much. Cole Harden's not good enough, which Adam may take offence to.
I'm not going to take offence to it, but I just think, as I just said, I think he will go underrated as the season goes on. I mean, if he wins tomorrow, just watch that price contract for the World Hurdle, and then he will not be an each-way betting proposition for the race. I will talk about one or two others. I think Shotgun Paddy, we know why he's here. He's here for the day out before the Welsh National, and that looks his main aim. I could even say all season, because in the stable tours, Emma Lavelle wasn't exactly sounding confident about wanting to go to Aintree just yet. Peckham Echo is an interesting runner. I could see him running well, but I don't think he'd be good enough. I mean, he won really nicely, stepped up to 3 miles at Aintree, considering he nearly took the last flight with him. And it was quite funny afterwards. Barry Geraghty said something to the owner, certain along the lines of, if I had clouted the last, we'd have won 15 lengths hard held. So he could run well, but I think, as I've just said, I think Callum's idea of the forecast is probably good, but I'd probably reverse it just in case. You don't know, racing's a weird game.
Yeah, well, none of us saw at Fisher's Cross getting beat first time out last season, and
nope.
We're back with that. We're going back up to north now. That's not even anywhere near a Newcastle accent.
No.
That was a good Yorkshire accent. No, well done.
Going up,
Leeds has affected you, man.
Going up north. No, it's not even right. It's living with you's taking its toll.
I'm a North there.
No, just screwing me up mentally. 240 at Newcastle. At the races rehearsal chase, a listed handicap over 3 miles. Very competitive field here. A few of the older guard, Adam, with Life for It and Hey Big Spender taking aim in this race. It's going to be a good race to watch, actually, won't it?
I actually think it's a really good race, and I've got one slight problem here. I haven't got any prices, so I can't go off prices because the internet here is a bit odd in the fact that it won't show me prices, won't let me go on bookmakers' websites. So I could be going on a really short price horse here, I don't know. But I really like Hey Big Spender, who ran at Aintree last year in the
5-2.
chase.
Hey Big Spender's 5-2.
Oh, for God's sake. He travelled really well in the Veterans race last year and this year, and blew up both times. This has got to be his plan basically for the year, and I think this is the race that he's most likely to win. Vintage Star chased him home last year.
That's 11.
Chased him home.
That's 11-4.
Oh, this is going well, and I give him a good chance as well. One interesting jockey booking for me is Fentara. I'm interested that Paul Townend takes a ride on her.
That one's 4-1.
That was 4-1. What's the biggest price horse in this race?
I think 4-1.
He's taking elder bets.
Yeah, no, we're just winding you up here. Hey Big Spender 7-1. Vintage Star is 6-1, and Fentara is 16-1.
Well, I quite like Hey Big Spender then at 7-1. He's hot, right? I liked him anyway, but 7-2, I was thinking that's a bit short. Who is the favourite, just out of interest?
Broadway Buffalo.
Yeah.
Broadway Buffalo. Oh my god. That thing. Well, he jumped better at Cheltenham last time out, but his first couple of starts over fences, I was head in hands at some of his jumping. I remember his one at Wetherby, and I remember getting a message. I think it was Callum, and he said, "Have you seen Broadway Buffalo and debut?" I was like, "No." He says, "Yeah, you need to watch him early on because he didn't jump well at all."
It's horrendous, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Absolutely
But
horrendous.
Chexo as well, he was pretty bad as well. I think he made a really bad mistake. I think it was at the second, and it was. I can't trust his jumping. I mean, he ran alright at Cheltenham last time, but not for
Adam
me.
always went Dixon Brothers on Broadway Buffalo then. He corrected him, so he went Broadway Buffalo.
Dixon Brothers.
Hayes
That's not an
expected to do the double.
Buffalo and Terry. You've got another cliff horse in this actually, Mr. Grez.
Oh yeah.
I've just noticed that you're bookending the field here.
Yeah.
Broadway Buffalo and
David
Mr.
Spender
Grez.
as well is one of our vintage stars, to be fair.
This will be fun for you.
Yeah. Everyone has life for its cliff horse as well.
I don't think I've ever backed life for it.
Have you not?
Ever.
Liddy would hate you. Broadway Buffalo. I backed him when he won at Haydock over hurdles, and he's got such a great attitude. And then he's gone over fences, and certainly, I mean, that first run was just horrendous. And but he seemed to kind of get his act together last time. He was well backed, and I think they've done some intensive schooling on him because he jumps a lot better and with a lot more fluency. I know he wasn't pitch perfect, but it was a lot better. JJ Cobb was on that day. Kieran Edgar's on tomorrow.
Just call him JJ.
JJ, yeah. Kieran Edgar's on tomorrow, claiming 5, good £5 claimer. I can see him winning tomorrow in first time blinkers. The two that fought it out last year, Vintage Star and Hey Big Spender, that actually Hey Big Spender's giving him £3 again, but they're both off, I think, £5, £3, £4 higher than they were last year. But they both should run pretty well. Vintage Star, I think, is probably just about an improved performer, but Sue Smith's Yard, not finding form as of yet. Indian Castle interests me. I think he could go quite well. Again, I've heard rumours that Williams Yard aren't firing on all cylinders as well. So Stuchek would be the one I'd be interested in at a price. Needed his first run. Definitely needed his first run. Was progressive last year, including form with Fentara. Beat it comfortably over course and distance. And yeah, I think he could run well. So Broadway Buffalo, I'm a bit disappointed he's favourite actually. So it's between those two for me, Tuchek and Broadway Buffalo.
I think Tuchek's one to take tentatively. He was in fantastic form at one point last season. He may not be feeling the effects of that now. Mark 129. There's a couple of very interesting jockey bookings in this field. Obviously, Adams alluded to the first one being Fentara with Paul Townend. Obviously, Paul Townend's come over to ride Arctic Fire in the fighting fifth, but stays for Fentara. And then, obviously, the news came out earlier this week that Ryan Manny was quitting riding for the second time in his career. James Reevely takes the ride for Sue Smith. Now, probably not so much of a weird one because Trevor Hemmings usually does use his own sort of jockeys on his horses, and Ryan Manny was never really his suitor for Sue Smith. So it's an interesting one, but as Callum said, Sue Smith's Yard are horribly out of form. It's not that they're all running terribly, they're just not amongst the winners at the moment, and they seem to really be struggling because they've had seconds, they've had thirds, they've had pretty much everything bar a winner.
Rattling won the other day by 54 lengths, to be fair.
I did not see that.
Yeah, but that's not saying much of it.
No, well, they had a winner a while ago in Benny's Well up at Carlisle, so that was a long time ago, so they're coming few and far in between. They just need to prove themselves a little bit more. As far as winning goes, Fentara will love the ground. The distance is absolutely fine. Won very easily earlier on this season, but I think it's £9 higher, or she's £9 higher now than she was that day, so possibly is beginning to be a bit higher in the handicap. But I'm honestly struggling to find something that I'd back. Probably if I had to back one, I would back Fentara each way, just because you know that the ground's absolutely fine, the trip's fine, she'll stay absolutely all day. And I'm a big fan of Paul Townend as a rider, but it's not really a race that I would have a bet in. It's just something that I'd watch from a neutral and try and enjoy it. Something that you can enjoy regardless, though, is the 3 o'clock at Newbury, the Hennessy Gold Cup, a Grade 3 handicap run over 3 miles, 2 furlongs, and 110 yards. A field of 19 this year contest the Hennessy, and the somewhat controversial favourite this year, Adam, has been Jackadam, who me and you have a love for, probably me a little bit more so, but he was 7-2 the day. He's as big as 11-1 now. He's going in the wrong direction, but is he becoming somewhat backable price?
He's getting that way. Put it this way: if you're backing him at 7-2, you need locking up. There's something wrong with you if you want to back a horse that's having his 4th chase start as a 5-year-old in the Hennessy Gold Cup. Just as a note before I continue, it is now, I am in Newbury and it is currently chucking it down outside, so you will need a horse that really loves soft ground and will stay every yard of a trip. Now, I know Jackie Dam's 5 and he has shaped like a stayer, but one of my worries is just tomorrow is 3¼ miles at this stage in his career. I have no doubt in time he'll get 3¼ just at this stage, and plus reading comments earlier in the week, which I know Luke is going to argue against, but Ruby couldn't hold him on the gallops at the Curragh, and if he does that tomorrow, for me, he's got no chance of seeing out the trip. I saw that he'd come out to 11-2 around that price. I'd want him to come out a bit more if I wanted to back him. My idea of the winner is Smad Place, and if there's a horse that deserves a big chasing prize, it's him, because for a horse to jump so well as him in the RSA and to travel as well as him, he didn't deserve to get beaten by a Phelan's Boy, but at the end of the day he did. And both of them were 6 lengths clear, obviously, in Morland Assembly, and the form of the RSA for me has worked out really well. I mean, you've got Sam Winner, who was 5th and came out and won at Cheltenham a couple of weeks ago. You had Carlingford Lock, who was 6th and came out and won a Grade 1 in Ireland.
Wait, sorry, I don't understand what you just said. Who was that?
Carlingford Lock.
No, not registering.
Oh dear.
I think you mean Clellerford Law.
Clellerford Law, mate.
That's the one. But yes, Mad Place, he jumps really well. He's got a touch of class about him. I think he can be a Gold Cup horse as well, and for him to be a Gold Cup horse, he has to be going close tomorrow. Alan King is in superb form at the minute, having had Ned Stark, Carrigmore and Yanworth on yesterday, and Sego Success on Wednesday as well. So he's in flying form at the minute. Here's my idea of the winner. Others that are obviously going to get mentioned, Many Clouds and Fingal Bay, they're two that I can't really have. I think Many Clouds, he shapes like a stayer, but if you get what I mean, I think he's better at 2.5. It's just the way he's never won over 3 miles. And although he will travel well tomorrow, I can just see him being vulnerable to a stronger stayer, i.e. like Smad Place or other horse in the race. Fingal Bay, he could potentially hack up, and he could make a mockery of his handicap mark. But the weird thing is, he had a mark of 143, but the handicap has reassessed him and put him on his hurdles mark of 153, which I find quite baffling because, for all we know, he won't translate that form. But it is worth noting that he is the apple of Philip Hobbs's eye, and has said that if he is going to win a Grade 1 in his career, and again it will be over fences. So it's an interesting point. My each way selection is one at a big price, and I have to thank Luke for this actually, because he sort of mentioned this, and I sort of gave it a second look, and I thought, actually, you're not far wrong here, and it's actually Houblon des Aubes over top weight, who goes exceedingly well fresh, having won the United House Gold Cup and his novice chase fresh. He's got really good form in handicaps, and he wasn't disgraced at Aintree Fort last time behind Sylvan Yarko Conti, who has obviously come out and won the Betfair this season. He goes off fresh. I know he's a big ass, but I could easily see him running into a place given a different ride to what he was last year, because he was held up last year and had to make up a lot of ground late on. Him and Mary King were notable ones that came from the back of the field last year. If he's ridden more forward, I could easily see him running into a place. So my idea, and also I must add this, I really respect Rocky Creek as well. I think he's got a really big chance, and with some of the problems he had last season, I think this could be the year where he could really go forward and potentially make himself into he could even be a Grade 1 chaser, but it seems, I think the Grand National is probably his main aim, although I can see him really running well tomorrow. My idea of the winner is Smad Place. Rocky Creek I can see in the first 4, and Houblon des Aubes at a really, not really big price, but at a bigger price I can see making the frame.
Yeah, with Houblon des Aubes as well, people argue it's top weight. Obviously, it's a hard thing to do to carry top weight to victory in the Hennessy, but
it's not. It's
he
really
only
not.
Well, if you're Denman, it's a piece of cake.
There's several top weights have won the race. Denman, Borough Hill Lad, Arc. Well, then again, they are a different class of horse compared to.
Are they Houblon des Aubes? No. Houblon des Aubes is a very good horse in his own right, but he's not.
He's not a 10, and he's not
but
an article.
last year, his when sixth and staying on eye-catchingly back in the field, he was off the mark of 154. So he's only off £3 higher today. And we were having a discussion earlier on the week. I think this is a weaker race than last year, but it could turn out to be a very good race if you sort of get my drift on that.
Actually. Yeah.
Like at the moment, it could go either way.
Yeah.
But
in a way, yes, and in a way, no. I think there is a better quality of horse in this from last year. I mean, there are a couple in there like Smad Place, Bingle Bay, and Jackadam as well. But you look at some of the favourites from last year's race. I mean, Highland Lodge, he was prominent in the market, and now he's off the mark, I think, in the low 130s now. He's really regressed. So, yeah. I back Highland Lodge in this.
Intriguing.
Always is.
Yeah, it's one of my favourite races of the year, pretty much every year without fail. I've got 4 that I've mentioned. Houblon des Oboe is one of them, who I think Adam pretty much covered all bases on. He just wanted to be ridden a bit more forward. It seems odd that he's still a 7-year-old. He seems to have been around forever. So it could even be possible that there's a bit more improvement left to come in him, which would put him borderline Gold Cup class if it did come around. He didn't run the worst of races in the Gold Cup last season on the back of a long year for him. Going right down to the, well, not right down to the bottom, it's scraping the barrel anyway, but at a bigger price, one that I put up in the Jumps preview is Via Sundown for Gary and Josh Moore for a mark of 140. This wasn't exactly the starting place I had in mind for him this season. I was expecting a few novice chases, but he won a novice hurdle really nicely the other day down at Exeter. Obviously, that's a completely different contest to what is expected of him here, but a mark of 140, I still think he's well handicapped. I'm not saying he's going to win, but at 33 to 1, I think he's well worth an each way bet. The ground is absolutely fine for him. He jumps well enough. You'll notice that he ran an absolute shocker behind Black Thunder and Corin Wood last year. That was completely uncharacteristic of him and needs forgiving, but he put that right in no uncertain fashion. Next time out at Fontwell when beating Benvolio and Lamorcod, who are useful horses but no better than that. Of the rest, I've mentioned Houblon des Oboe. Jackadam is one I really do have to mention, just because I think he is a Gold Cup winner in the future. Maybe not this year, but possibly next year when he's sort of 6 or 7. I think he's a horse that's got so much class about him, but coming into this race and his 4th round of fences, it could just be a year too soon for him. It could just be too soon altogether. But off a mark of 142, I really cannot ignore that. For a horse that I think could be rated in the 170s at some point in his career, genuine top. We're talking about a genuine top class animal here. It could just be too well handicapped to ignore. The distance doesn't really worry me too much. I thought he's needed that for a long time now. I was a bit surprised they brought him over for Cheltenham, in fairness, in the JLT. And he actually surprised me with how well he travelled and jumped. And he was still in contention when he fell. It wasn't really a mistake. He just forgot to get the landing gear down at the top of the hill, and Paul Townend came off. But I think 9 to 2 that I can see here is a bit slim. 11 to 2 is getting more towards what I'd be thinking about backing him. Hopefully it's a bit bigger in the morning and a few offers come out, but we'll see on that front. And the big danger, the obvious danger for me is Smad Place, who I wasn't a big fan of last year's RSA lot. I think I tried to lay Adam a bet that O'Phelan's boy wouldn't win a race this year.
Well, he won't.
I wish you took that in fair. But he just seems like one of the more obvious bets. I really, really do like the jockey booking of Dennis O'Regan on Smad Place. I think he's one of the best chase jockeys around, and I know I'm not the only one that thinks that as well. But, he's a grey number 5 as well.
Oh, he's an absolute certainty.
Oh, no, he's a certainty.
Yes.
He's an absolute good thing. All right, Smad Place. He's got to have a huge chance off 155. Again, as Adam said, he could be another one that's Gold Cup class. Maybe not this year, maybe the next year, but we'll see how he progresses throughout the season. But he's one that will go close for sure. I think, as in terms of your best win bet, it's boring, I know, but I've been a huge fan of Jackadam for a long time now. So I'm going to have to stick with him. And just as an each way alternative, I'll give Via Sundown. That's very low down in the weight, only carrying 10.9 tomorrow at 33 to 1 for Gary Moore. You are firmly with Smad Place, aren't you?
Yeah, I've looked through every horse in this race, and with the Hennessy, because it usually goes to a high class horse and a potential Gold Cup horse. I want to be going for a horse that fits that sort of bill. And this year, a lot of them are just exposed handicappers trying to get their day in the sun for me. And Jackadam is obviously not one of those. Young horse, improving. The trip is just a massive question mark, though. You've got to say, especially in this ground. I'm sure you'll stay in time tomorrow as a 5-year-old in a competitive handicap. I just couldn't be having him. Whereas Smad Place is by far better form over around this trip on this sort of ground, including at Newbury when comfortably beating Sam Winner was valued for plenty further. Dennis O'Regan, I think, is a great jockey booking, like you touched on.
Was it you were saying earlier in the week? Brian Hughes was riding it or something?
No, that was a mistake. No, that was shut up. Embarrass me like that. Yeah, look, I can think of comfortable negatives for all of them, and Smad Place just sticks out like a sore thumb to me. He just got so much in his favour. I'm definitely going to have a bet around 7-8 to 1.
And the most important thing about Smad Place is he's a grade number 5. So
yeah. All right,
that's the main reason to back it.
Well, it's also like many clouds I don't have in the same parish as Smad Place in terms of quality. Many clouds of horse I've rated highly for a long time, but I don't think he's up to winning a Hennessy, whereas I think Smad Place is. Fingal Bay, harsh mark of 153 to be running off the same of his hurdles mark. The Druid's nephew dogged it last week, the week before at Cheltenham, coming there to win the race. I'm sure he'll love the conditions, and I would like to see Neil Mulholland win a big race, considering what happened with you-know-who. Rocky Creek and last year's winner Triolo Delaine, however.
Taphander Rule,
that's the one. I can't see them featuring. There's a lot of horses that want better ground down the bottom. I mean, you've got horses, they've got ones next to their name, and they're right down the bottom. Le Rev won his last start via Sundown, What a Warrior, and they're all 33s.
Well, Le Rev actually bolted up in his last run as well. Yeah. Obviously, easier race, but really bolted. He's been a horse I've liked for quite a while as well, actually, Le Rev.
Union East is one I thought could run well.
I think he'll shape for the run. I think he needs it. He's one of them. You remember the Charlie Hall last year? I thought he'd win that, and he turned out he needed it. Not really is a good booking though. You've got to admit that. Great.
He ran quite well though. I mean, the form is rancid, but I still thought he ran to his sort of mark, and then he did improve a little bit at Aintree, but he's not. I don't think he's actually run over this sort of trip. I think it's the furthest he's gone, and he looks a proper stayer. So
they think he's a national horse. They think he's a national horse down the line as well.
Yeah, could be.
Stop it now. You're tempting me here.
One last one I want to mention actually before we move on to the last race of the day is Monbeg Dude, who ran really well on reappearance. I think it was at Chepstow. But the jockey booking of Paul Maloney is an interesting one on that. Obviously, I don't recall Paul Maloney ever riding a Monbeg Dude before, but it's the perfect kind of ride for him because you have to sit there and do nothing for a circuit, and then the horse will carry you into the race. So
actually, can I make a point on Monbeg Dude really quickly? I would like to see him ridden more forward.
No, you can't. Moving on.
But, yeah, I'd like to see him ridden more forward. You remember his Cheltenham win last year? He was actually not held up at the back 20 lengths and had to make up ground. He was ridden more positively. And I just think in the Hennessy, you cannot be giving away so much ground. And I know Paul Maloney is very good on a hold-up horse, but I just think you don't really want to be on a hold-up horse in the Hennessy. I prefer a horse that's going to be ridden handy, or I can't really say from the front. If you're going to win from the front, you need a very, very good horse to do it.
Carruthers, Denman.
Well, Carruthers didn't really go from the front. He went from the front after about halfway. Denman.
Yeah, he got outpaced there.
He took it up after the third fence.
Yeah, Denman took it up about a circuit to go in both his wins in the Hennessy. It's not an all-the-way job for me. I mean, the front runners in the race, What a Warrior and Anacotti, they're gonna have to go. You have to set a sensible tempo for them to try and win.
Good jockey working with Anacotti. I'll say that with Gavin Hume. I think he definitely deserves a chance that he's getting this season.
Yeah, he does, definitely. My only issue with Anacotti, I just think that if he's taking on for the lead, he's going to sulk. And he did that. I know they went too quick in the RSA, him and Corrin Wood, but he kept leaving his back legs in fences, and that, for me, he just didn't look happy. And if that happens tomorrow, I think the same could happen. So
how many of these have won Grade 1s? Is the only one?
It must be a Gotti, unless anything won a Grade 1 over hurdles. Did Smad Place win a grade? No. He came third in the world, didn't he? Fingal Bay as a novice?
No.
He win the Chala. Is that Grade 1?
Yeah. Chala's a Grade 1. Yes, there's 2 Grade 1
Okay,
winners
so
in
you've
the race.
got 2 Grade 1 winners. That's about it, isn't it?
Yeah. Midnight Prayer's one other that I'd give a mention to, but I think he'll come on for the run and need it for the Welsh National. Good job looking at Tom Bellamy, though. It's good to see him getting opportunities as well.
Yeah, he's taken them as they come, hasn't he? So,
yeah.
You're not going to mention Mary King, Adam?
Oh, let's not mention Mary. Well, he'll probably do what he normally does. He'll travel well for a bit, and then he'll drop himself out, and then he'll be never near a fourth. That's Mary King for you.
They're convinced he's going to win a big one this year.
In fairness,
yeah,
this is the kind of race that could suit him tomorrow. If he does the kind of slog.
His place.
It could just be he stays on faster than everything else, and that's not really a compliment to anything. It could just be that everyone else gets tired, and he's there going, okay, let's keep going at this pace.
I know. I think John Joe O'Neill's got the Grand National in mind for him at the end of the year, and if that really kindles, if he really enjoys that, I could see him running really well there. I wouldn't back him. He's one of them that you couldn't really. I've said that you can't trust, but I napped him at Haydock in the Grand National trial, and that didn't really go to plan that day. But
I napped him in the Grand National. What, did I nap him?
No, you put him up each way, and he actually
napped at some point.
Probably.
I'm sure I did Haydock.
He is that horse.
I napped him in the Grand National trial just because I thought conditions were absolutely perfect for him.
Yeah, no, I think that was the race I really fancied him as well, and
he got
pulled up halfway.
Yeah,
broke a blood vessel.
Broken blood vessel, and he was a bit badly hampered as well, so he's worth forgiving now. And he is very consistent. That is something else to say about the horse as well.
Yeah.
Even though he doesn't win, he's always there in these big staying handicap chases, and I kind of like I like horses like that, but
he just needs about 6 miles. It's the unfortunate side.
He does have the negative of AP McCoy on tomorrow, though.
I agree with that. I think Richie McClellan suits him better.
Yeah, no, Richie McClellan has a good record on the horse.
I'd put Maurice Linehan on and get some weight off. He gave him a cracking ride in the Scottish National.
Yeah, he did actually.
McCoy's record is poor on it. He's not been.
It's weird. It's the kind of horse he should get on with.
Yeah, no, it's exactly, isn't it? The closest he's finished on it is 14.5 lengths in Aintree Bumper.
To be fair, though, in the Grand National, he only rode him last season in the National Trial, and that was it. All went wrong basically. So.
Yeah, he's only ridden him 5 times
ago. Yeah,
it's funny cheap, but McClellan does well on him.
We'll see. Moving on to the last race, because that was a very in-depth covering of the Hennessy. Dessert.
Yeah, the rest is rubbish.
Good.
So.
Yeah, exactly. We move on to the last race, the Bet365 handicap chase for the Jim Joel Memorial Trophy over 2 miles and a furlong. You were talking about Solar Impulse, I think, earlier in the week, Adam, weren't you?
I was, and I'm actually pleased to see him in this race. Actually, he jumped so well at Weatherby, and there was one fence down the back where it wasn't his fault where he made the mistake because the horse in front hit the brakes, and Noel Feely did really well to sit on him. But the way he jumped that day, he jumped like an old hand, basically. And he jumped far better than Turnover Sibler, who's a more experienced rival. And he gets a weight allowance here being the 4-year-old. I mean, looking at the opposition, you've got Next Sensation. I really don't know what to make of him. I know Luke will talk about him. The Victor Dartnell horse, I'm not going to try and pronounce it because I will probably... What Luke said. I thought he ran really well last time out at Cheltenham. And another one, and there's quite a few in this race you could give a strong mention to, Monetaire if he jumped, because he made some horrific mistakes early on at Cheltenham. And also Arthur's Secret as well, I thought he ran really well. And he's another 4-year-old as well, so they're getting their allowances here. But I think my idea of the winner is Solar Impulse. He just jumped so well last time out at Weatherby, and I think Newbury's going to be a track that will suit him. So
yeah, that's fair enough. There's a couple of horses in here that I've followed for a while now. One of them is Monsieur Ohm, who just sound like an idiot when I say the Ohm bit. He's likely not going to have enough pace on tomorrow because he's a very strong travelling type. And you notice he did exactly the same thing at Cheltenham last time out in a much better race, I think behind Bold Henry. He travelled very strongly and didn't really find much off the bridle. He has had a wind up, I'm reliably informed. So
what, the last 15 days?
No. At the start of this season. Yeah, that would be kind of very harsh. But it's helped him somewhat this season. It will need to have a bit more of an effect, but this is an easier race for him. However, the worry is that there isn't enough pace on. However, the worry of no pace is a huge positive for Next Sensation, who I'm going to give one last chance to tomorrow. The ground is a negative in soft ground, although he has won on it before, albeit at Plumpton when handicapped very, very easily. You remember his exploits last year of being a fast improving chaser. He actually unseated in this race when going off a well-backed favourite. And it just all went wrong. It all went wrong. Then he absolutely bolted up, beating a horse that is now in the champion chase market called God's Own at Doncaster, and beating him very, very easily as well in that matter, before going on to the Grand Annual and putting in one of the performances of the festival, albeit losing when being caught in the last 50 yards by Savello, Claret Cloak, and
Ned Buntline.
Ned Buntline. Always forget Ned Buntline.
Out a window.
Always forget Ned Buntline. But if he gets his own way out in front, then he could just leave his last 2 runs behind completely. He was taken on at Ascot and he hated it, and just jumping went to pot, which isn't him whatsoever. Willing to forgive that, but then last time he really disappointed. He was taken on again for the lead, jumped well enough up until a point, and then he just seemed to drop hands and just go backwards. Admittedly, I think it was Brian Hughes riding that day didn't really do much on him and to sort of prevent him from falling back through the field, but he will need to show a lot more. But I'm going to give one last chance to Next Sensation and hope that he does return to his best, and at 14-1 it's a nice price. And one last thing I wanted to mention about him actually is, at the start of the season I thought after Ascot they're going to try and make him into have another crack at the Grand Annual. If that was the case, and I was right about that, then surely with Sprinter Sacra and Side Grucci, coming out and doubts for the whole season, they could just be tempted just to kick on with him if that has been the case, but that's just complete speculation from me, and I'm very usually wrong. So, Next Sensation, a tentative each way shout for me, and it's a competitive little race, isn't it?
Yeah, I bet you pleased Dickie Johnson's back on your best mate Next Sensation after the corking ride he gave it.
I didn't slate him as much as Paul Keeley slated him.
Well, he was right to slate him because it was just
he went
ride.
He went a bit too far. He should know better.
My Next Sensation, and I'm willing to give him another chance at some point because at Ascot he wasn't right. Last time out the ground was given as an excuse. Surely the ground's just going to be a problem again tomorrow. I don't think he wants it soft. It was soft that day. He's going to be soft, maybe even softer tomorrow. So I don't think he's going to perform tomorrow. Monetaire, if he jumps, he wins. How he got so close last time out, considering the mistakes he made, was just showed that he's a seriously well handicapped horse for me. French import, I'm sure he was ready for that as well. He was very well backed as well. Went off joint favourite, so I'm sure he was ready for that, and might not have that much more improvement in him, but he does look at least handicapped to win this sort of race. Anqueta caught my eye in that race. He fell that day with Welly Cohen on, but it was one of his first runs on soft ground, and he seemed to be handling it quite well and jumping well and travelling nicely when he came down. It was impossible to know how he'd have done, but he's the kind of horse at 13-2 I want to be on tomorrow. I think a track like Newbury would suit his sort of style, and I like him tomorrow. I think he could run quite well, so I'm going to put him up.
Fair enough. That is all the racing that we plan to cover tomorrow covered. We'll go through your questions now. We had quite a few in. Thank you, everyone. Kai Wills is up first. I know Luke's a big fan of Jackadan, but does he win tomorrow? #Mullins Machine. I agree with that hashtag. Like I say, just tentative, it could be a year too early, and it is likely to be a year too soon. But if he really is as good as I think he is, and everyone else sort of has reserves about how good they might think he is, then he could be something special off a mark of 1.42 anyway. Then Kai also goes on to say John Quinn's horse to win the Fighting Fifth. That's Aurora Destraval. He's done it before to win with Countrywide Flame, and can't believe that she's 4-1. We're both Irving, aren't we?
Tomorrow?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Aurora Destraval. I think
161 hurdle, isn't she? So
I think Aurora Destraval is the danger. I'd rather take
Yeah.
her.
No, I said that at the time. Arctic Fire just looks an exposed horse to me that will run to 150 and not be any better, and that might make him thereabouts. But Aurora Decibel's definitely got potential, and Irving certainly has the potential to be better than that. So I'd be disappointed if one of those didn't win.
Yeah. One question I wanted to direct to Adam was the last question from Kai. Who wins the Drinmore Novice Chase on Sunday? Tolo Tank or is it Patchy Stronghold? Isn't it?
It is one of the best novice chases I've seen outside of Cheltenham. That is an absolute cracker of a race. For sentiment reason, I'd like to see the Tulla Tank win for Sandra Hughes and the family after what happened with Desi a couple of weeks ago. But Apache Stronghold, he jumped beautifully on Chase debut. So did the Tulla Tank, to be fair. And if you remember from last year, I was a big fan of the Tulla Tank, and the way he jumped on Chase debut, he had no issue with it. And the heart says he'll win, the head says he'll win as well, but it's a strong race, and I wouldn't be surprised if something like Balsalido, the horse I'm a fan of as well, went well for Willie Mullins and Brian Cooper. The interesting one, obviously, this is a good race. Cause of Causes still hasn't won over fences yet, and he's in the Drinmore. Bless his will.
Apologies. Lost my call with that one. Didn't go through with it. So
No, couldn't commit.
Girl on that front. Get your tips out. Tweet it back in. Jackadam can ping a fence, but surely won't see out this trip. We'll need to see out every yard. High hopes are there with Smad Place. I think Smad Place is definitely the one that's going to serve it up to Jackadam if you can take Jackadam as the worthy favourite.
Serve it up, yeah. Just win.
I was correcting that. I'm just saying. Callum Randall. Only just tuned in, so apologies if you already discussed this. Not a problem. Callum. Horrible name, by the way, Callum.
Yeah. Is it
two L's? It's one L as well.
It's one L, yes.
I think that's the only other Callum I've ever known.
Yes, Cal.
Well, he wants to know what our thoughts on Lac Fontana are. Lac Fontana struggled tomorrow, won't he?
Yeah, in that race, I think he will.
He's interesting up at 3 miles for the first time, though. We'll say that.
Yeah.
I think you'll find
worth the go.
Yeah.
It's worth the go, isn't it? I mean, since that wind operation, it was a wind operation.
And the ulcers treatment as well.
It's well worth a go, isn't it? Are they going here because they've not got any more options at 2.5 miles?
I think they're trying to find out if he
stays. Is it a fact-finding mission? And
why haven't they gone novice chasing with him? I thought they would have gone novice chasing with him.
Well, he's only 5-year-old.
He's the kind of horse that I could see becoming a really nice chaser.
Yeah.
He just looks an athletic, agile type, which I like as a chaser, not these big burly things that you like.
I love my big burly things. Dale Alco is also a fan of Hooblon de Zobo, much like me and Adam are. Chris Heath, also about Hooblon de Zobo. Chances of Hooblon de Zobo in the Hennessy, spelt right as well. Well done, Chris. Six of the last 8 top weights have placed a massive price each way at 33-1.
You like your stats?
I'm about to absolutely slate Brian Ferris. he's coming. Don't worry.
Okay.
Hooblon de Zobo we spoke about earlier. I think it's got a decent each way chance. A huge price as well. Top weight isn't that much of a worry really. It's only £3 higher than last season when staying on 6th. Joe Smith. Puzzled to why Smad Place isn't favourite tomorrow.
Yeah, no, I agree. I really do agree. He just sticks out like a sore thumb.
I have to say, as much of a fan I am of Jackadam, I have to agree with that as well. Because Smad Place has done it. Jackadam, it is a bit on hype that you're going with. And you have to take that ability on trust.
Just a bit. He's only a 5-year-old.
Exactly.
He's got bags of stamina to prove. I am worried. I think Adam mentioned earlier about him being quite keen.
There was a stat. Luke hates stats, but I pulled out a little one for you. I did a bit of research in the week. Since 1997, 5 5-year-olds have tried it. Only 2 of them I would consider good enough to win a Hennessy. Udeep, who was fed to the legend that is Sunny Bay, God rest his soul, and Big Bucks, who then went on to win 18 races on the bounce, and he was there at the last fence when he unseated Sam Thomas. So they were the only 2 that were good enough to probably win the Hennessy as a 5-year-old. The other 3 were no hopers, basically. Interestingly, all of them were trained by either Martin Pipe or Paul Nichols. That's an interesting one for you. All 5 of them were trained by them too.
It's a brilliant stat right there
Thank you.
that affects Jackadam directly because it's all about him, isn't it?
Well, there's an interesting stat though about Willie Mullins'
Nonsense of a
handicap
stat.
He
chases.
can't help his age.
Nonsense of a
There's a very
stat.
fascinating one though about Willie Mullins in handicap chases in England. I think it's like a 60%
Again, nonsense of a
strike rate.
stat. Jackadam isn't one of them.
Well, he's a handicap chaser running in the UK, so.
Yeah, now he is. He hasn't done it before. If he'd beaten a handicap chase before in England, then fine, he's one of them. But he's not.
When he wins tomorrow, all of these stats are going to be blown out. But
Well, yeah, then I'll accept it. But as for now, they don't affect him whatsoever.
when he gets done a short head, yeah.
Private Sean has said the last 2 Gold Cup winners have run the Hennessy. It's very true. Thank you, Sean.
They're disappointed in this.
Yeah. And one for Callum. Who does Callum fancy for the Japan Cup? Say Ivanhoe and just let him
Yeah.
just let him bask in it.
No, Ivan, no. I don't know. I did think Hart starts me. I haven't really had a look at the race yet. Denham and Rubin maybe each way. It looks a really good race. Really good race this year. I don't think neither of the European Raiders have any chance whatsoever.
Let's just hope Park Style's given a better ride than she was in the Arc.
I'm sure she will be. I mean, Japanese races are run to suit her the most, and if she runs at that sort of level, and her level previously, then she's the one to beat. But Ryan Moore, Gentle Donna as well, you got to put her in there. And Just Away, I'm not convinced at this trip is a good enough animal. I think he's a brilliant horse, but not at this trip. Yeah, quality race.
Fair enough.
That's the best race of the weekend, without
I think
a shadow of a doubt.
can't have too many arguments about that. Sam Boswell has tweeted, asked Luke Elder which cliffs he plans to follow next sensation over #Dover. I've already done Dover, actually. I did Dover last time. I'm doing a grand tour of the world, actually, so I'm going cliff diving in Mexico next time out, or this time out, tomorrow. Now, Ryan Ferris on Harbour Watch. How can ask Luke Elder how he can fancy a horse where every single stat suggests it can't win?
Yeah, it does actually. He's spot on. Every stat is against this horse.
Okay, right, come on. Let's spit some stats out. Mullins handicappers doesn't affect Jackadam whatsoever. 5-year-old. Okay, Jackadam is a 5-year-old. He hasn't been one of the 5-year-olds that's running the Hennessy. It does not apply to him.
Well, Big Buck's ran in the Hennessy unseated at last.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
the greatest horse of all time got beat.
So Big Bucks, a 5-year-old, ran a brilliant race in Hennessy and was still there approaching the last. That's what ticking Jackadam's
Exactly
box.
what Jackadam's going to do as well.
Morbid.
I'm sure Jackadam will end up being a top horse, but if you're backing a 5-year-old
Okay, that's
over
the thing.
that trip,
I haven't backed him. That's the thing.
yeah, but
God.
I haven't backed him, and I'm
You asked
likely
me,
not
you
going
asked me to put you off earlier, and I said you missed the boat, and you were very offended by that when I said that.
you know it's the wrong price when you have to convince yourself on Twitter, like asking the question, is he a good price?
No, I said, is he becoming a backable price?
Yeah.
11-2.
Yeah, you don't
If-
ask that.
if he went-
you form that opinion.
I already had the opinion that he's a
Yeah,
backable
so
price.
why are you asking?
I just wanted to think of it.
He wants to know, but he wants everybody to know about it. Basically, he's like, "Oh, 11-2. No, I wouldn't back him at 11-2. I wouldn't back him.
If he touches 7s, then I think I'll have to back him.
I still wouldn't back him at 7s. He'd have to be a double-figure price for me to be interested.
In my Goliath tomorrow, I'll probably put a Smad Place in the fairness.
That's a good idea.
So long that price actually stands on him. One last tweet from Dale Alco. Has Luke had a drink by any chance? #getting lemon.
Getting lemon?
Getting lemon? Anyone?
No.
Dale, you're going to have to explain getting lemon to me. Larry?
In your drink?
Well,
Hairy
Luke does
lemon.
like a drink
Larry
occasionally
lemon.
on the videos, but I don't think tonight's one of them occasions. So
No, I've had
Is it running in the 240
I've had
at Wolverhampton?
a soda water and orange squash. We go crazy here in On the Other House.
Yeah, on the other house.
that's a good one. That I've had an idea. I've had an idea for future videos as well. There seems to, it's just from tonight as well. With 2 questions in a row, ask Luke Elder. That should just be a new feature of the show.
An Ask Luke Elder segment. That's
Yeah.
a new segment
It's a
for
great
us.
idea.
Theme tune.
And his own theme tune as well.
Yeah, we need a theme. We need a theme tune. I just can't believe we've done it. We've done another video. I can't believe we actually did it. I can't believe we've done it. Michael Andrews.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, I can't believe we've just done another video. I can't believe it. I just can't believe it. Anyone who has Michael Andrews on Snapchat after the Melbourne Cup might get that.
We've done it.
We've done it.
The realisation.
Adam was sitting there awkwardly laughing, not knowing what's going on, then suddenly the penny drops.
Yeah.
Naps.
Nap time. Adam, who are you napping with tomorrow?
Hammersley Lake in the first on Channel 4.
You got your nap out of the way early last week, and
it didn't go very well.
No, it did not go very well, Adam. You're right in saying that. He was.
My only bet tomorrow is to my place, so he's in that.
I have forgotten what time. It's the second at Newbury. The 12:50 Royal Regatta is my nap. First time over fences, and I think all of us actually quite like Royal Regatta as a chaser. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, whatever.
I know you like them.
Yeah,
you said it earlier.
Yeah.
And George Gorman also put him up as a horse to follow. So probably got no chance. That is about it. Has Michael sent in any fancies tomorrow? Or?
Let me check quickly. It'll be a quick.
While he does that, we wish Michael good luck in his pantomime tonight.
Well, it's rehearsals tonight. We need to advertise it. 10th to the 13th in December in Leeds, which is where you 2 are. So you 2 can go and see me in Panto.
No, I can't go. I'm doing my hair.
Busy though.
Yeah. Got
Michael has not sent anything in. I'm just checking one.
What role is he playing?
Like second, I don't know what it is. We'll have to ask him, but he's not.
70s porn star.
No, he hasn't sent anything in. Should we just make him an
That's a
actor?
shame.
We'll make him an for him. We like doing
Mary King.
yeah, go on. We'll go with that.
Mary King. He can be the last one to nap Mary King. Thank you everyone for watching this week. We'll be back next Friday at 8 PM to cover. I don't know what racing is next week. Is it the International?
Beta Chase. Yes.
It's a Jingle Creek, of course.
Yes.
Of course. Aintry's back, so Adam is banned from videos next week.
Oh.
No, unfortunately. But actually, if you're going to Newbury tomorrow, watch out for a Scouser in a blue jacket that looks stolen, because that'll be Adam. He's race making tomorrow.
And a sash as well. I'll look like Miss World for the day, so I'm looking forward to it.
No, you won't.
Shut up.
Thank you to everyone for watching this week. We hope you have a profitable day of betting, you have a good weekend, and that your night out on Saturday is funded by. It's not going to be funded by our tips, let's face it. It is not.
Unless my place
have a good week. Yeah, have a good weekend nonetheless. And we'll see you next week at 8 o'clock here on the other.